Mr. Shannon Jenkins. Thanks
Hello.
for joining us today. We've gotten to know each other a lot the past, I don't know, year and a half maybe or so since opening up the coffee shop downtown. And I feel like we've maybe the same spirit. I don't know. It's real easy to talk and we have a lot of fun, probably too much fun talking together. And just wanted to introduce you to everybody. And you are the president and CEO of United Way of
East Central Alabama.
East Central Alabama.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk to you a little bit and see. I know that's something you feel like you've been called to do, and you're walking in your calling and what you're supposed to do with your life. So that's kind of the point of this podcast, is to get people who are right in the middle of what they feel like they're supposed to be doing with their lives. So just to get started, I know I've had a million conversations with you, but I don't think we've talked much about where you grew up,
Sure.
how you grew up. So
Sure.
let's start there.
We can certainly start there. And I'll begin by saying, hey, I'm just really appreciative of the friendship. And just, I agree, sharing the same spirit, I think, and being called in what we do, and serving the community, and having a passion for all those things, passion for fellow human beings. But yeah, so I actually was born and raised right here in Calhoun County, and in the White Plains area. If the viewers know where that is, right here in Calhoun County. So White Plains was a very rural area when I was growing up, and
Not very bustling now, but it's a little bit bigger.
the school is a lot bigger now than it was then. It was, at the time, it was a K through 12 school, so everybody was under one roof. There wasn't a separate middle school or a elementary school at the time. So very small community, and it looked like most rural communities in the South. You had a lot of poverty. Poverty in rural communities looks so much different in a lot of ways than than it does in your more urban areas. And so, a lot of folks who grow up in poverty in rural communities maybe not even
Normal life.
don't even realize, because you just cope with it in a different way a lot of times. So that's really my background. I met my wife in high school. We were high school sweethearts. We marched in the band. She went to a local Christian school up through 8th grade, and then came to White Plains, our school, after that in the 9th grade. So she kind of entered my life, and we got to know each other as friends, and then started dating, and had some rocky years through, because she was a year older than me, through college, but stayed together and stuck it out, and we have made a beautiful life together. I've been blessed with my wife, and we have one son, Anderson, who's 18 now.
Wow, 18. How long have y'all been married?
Why did you ask me that?
I'm just kidding.
We have been married, I think it's 31 years.
Roughly 31 years.
Yeah.
And I have an anniversary in 2 weeks. So somebody asked me the other day how long we've been married, and it took me a minute. 12 years? 13? Yeah, it's 13 years this year.
Yeah. Well, I know the anniversary date.
That's all that matters.
Let's say that.
So when you were growing up, what aspirations did you have, maybe of what you do professionally, or once you grew up, did you have any dreams? Or
I don't know that I thought a whole lot about it. Of course, you really start thinking about that a lot, in your high school years. I had grown up in a family, that went to church every Sunday, and grew up in the local church, and just always really felt a calling, to help people. And I really thought for a long time that calling would be on a church staff somewhere. And I did that for a little while. And it just, in the end, realized that maybe that wasn't necessarily where God, wanted me or wanted me long term. And it's interesting because I never set out to be in the nonprofit world, or certainly never thought I would be the CEO of a nonprofit. You know, it's funny how you can look back on your journey and see how it was kind of carved out for you.
Mm-hmm.
You just couldn't see it,
For sure.
you know, when you were at the front end of that journey. And so for me, I really just wanted to do some volunteer work in the community. We had a home business, and so I was working in that and working some retail as well, and just kind of wanted to do some volunteer work and asked the local United Way executive director at the time if there was anything I could do. And I was hired in a seasonal part-time position to help with fundraising campaign, and I only expected to do that for about 4 months. And then that term ended. Then I came back the next year and I did it again. And then the next year, I believe it was, I was offered a full-time job with the organization, became the director of marketing eventually, and then in 2014 became the CEO. I've been with United Way for 21 years now, and there is no doubt that it is my calling.
That's awesome. A lot's changed since 2014, from what I can remember. And you're the CEO of one entity, which is the United Way of East Central Alabama. But under that umbrella, do you know exactly how many different programs? Or I know there's a lot.
There are a lot, and you know, one of the things that I was just my vision coming in to the job and after working there, you know, for a good tenure, you know, before I became the CEO, I recognized that, you know, there were gaps in the community of services that needed to be there. And I had this dream and this vision of being able to fill those gaps as United Way. At one point, United Way was strictly a fundraising organization. Mm-hmm. We would raise funds, and then those funds would then go out, you know, and grant awards to other local nonprofits that are our community partners. And we still do that to this day, but we have really diversified revenue. We've diversified our programs, and we currently have 9 direct service initiatives, and that covers everything from youth opportunity with workforce development, especially for those students who are under-resourced. It covers, you know, community resiliency, so things like food, things like basic needs for folks, and then, you know, our latest project which is the Martha Vandervoort Center to End Homelessness, affectionately known to the community as Martha's Hope, and just trying to provide services, programs that can help with the stability of those who are unhoused.
So for the business people out there, they're super transparent about everything they do. And if you ask, they'll show you, but I've been able to see financials, and not only is it 9 different operations going on, but it's actually kept separate. A lot of them are kept separate financially. It's probably 5 or 6 separate businesses, maybe not legally, but when you look at how it's ran, which is amazing that one person, I know you have a great team. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
You've been blessed with an amazing team.
Absolutely.
But not many people could handle navigating, running all those things at once. So that's super impressive to me. Martha's Hope, a much needed resource in the Anniston-Calhoun County area. How did that come about? I know for years, since the Salvation Army closed in Anniston, it's been known as a need. But what were the steps that got you there?
Well, I mean, just that, you know, when we surveyed the landscape to figure out what was going to happen when the Salvation Army closed their shelter, it was dire.
It was.
And I think trying to identify an organization that could take on such a large effort, because it's not a small effort. It's
No.
a big effort. I think United Way, I as a CEO, and I think our United Way in general, our board of directors, our staff, everybody agreed that it really was kind of the calling of our organization. We felt like we had the infrastructure and at least had the connections in the community to pull a community together, pull folks together around the table to try to figure out what the next step was to bridge that gap. And some of that happened intentionally, with us starting to have conversations about it. Some of that happened organically, like the city of Anniston choosing United Way to lead what they designated by proclamation as the task force on homelessness. And so as we all started talking about that and what that looked like, we knew that really the first step was establishing shelter services, just simply because that's the entry point.
It is.
And without that piece, and I am all for, there are models out there like housing first models, rapid rehousing and things like that, and I believe in those as well. The problem is locally is, if you try to answer the call with only rapid rehousing or a housing first model, there's not enough housing inventory.
There's not.
For affordable housing, for low income housing.
Housing in general.
Housing in general.
There's not an answer.
And so, that shelter piece was a necessity. And then we knew that if we could bring folks in and treat them with dignity and respect, but with some expectation, of being a part of programmatic services, that we could really make a difference in some people's lives. And we've already, seen that.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's evident in the community, too. At least the local community around where the coffee shop is, we've all noticed a difference in the way the unhoused people are being treated has been improved, I think. They know they have a place to go now, and we can help them get there, which is super helpful for me, navigating that in the coffee shop. And overall, there's just a general sense. I think it built more of a sense of community as well, which is really cool to see from the outside, that everybody's pitching in to help.
Yeah.
There's churches from all over. There's single ladies that are bringing meals to feed 40 people. It's pretty amazing to watch from the outside as well. I'm super excited to be involved in it and can't wait to get involved more. Out of all the programs you have going on, what's the one that I think fulfills you the most? Because there's it goes deep. So.
I'm a crier.
I know. Should have bought some tissues.
Yeah, you should have. I'll be honest with you. And I'll talk about our programs in just a moment. What I want to say is part of what fulfills me the most is working with our staff. Mm-hmm. We have a staff of incredibly passionate people. And I tell people all the time that our two secrets to success are our staff, number one, and our board of directors, number two, because our staff and our board of directors work so cohesively together. They don't work against each other at all. We have an incredible board that supports our work and supports the work of the staff, and they understand that our staff is in the trenches every day, doing the work, and so they're incredibly supportive of that. You're only as good as your team. You're only as good as your people are. And I don't know if it is a gift of discernment. I don't know if it is just divine in the fact that that we have been blessed at United Way with our staff. But I can say that if you want to call it magic, the magic to our success is our people. And it's the heart of our people. Okay, now.
So is that something that's been a shock for me? When I started the coffee business, it was 100% to help my friends in Peru sell their coffee for more money. And it kept me, even though we had to move back here, felt like we were called to move back here, and we listened to that. That's a whole nother story. But knowing that I had that mission to help my friends in Peru, that's what kept me going in it all.
Yeah.
I didn't expect for my staff and my employees, my team, to become, most of them are younger than me, so like sons and daughters to me. I didn't expect for that to become as much as my mission, if not more, of helping internationally, helping in Peru. Did you expect that? Did it start that way, or has it grown into that with you?
Well, it's always been a passion of mine. I mean, once I came into United Way and I saw what the need was in the community, and I saw how United Way, even in the early days, was responding to that, even through just the fundraising effort, and then, with our community partners. And so that's something that I embraced and I was passionate about. And then I knew that we had several others on the team that had dedicated their lives to United Way and, passionate about it as well. So that core was there, but when you start growing and you start building out a team, because you're adding these programs, and you're not just adding United Way staff, but you're adding specific program staff, people who, I would say yes. I would say that I would say it is somewhat surprising, even now, that it has been possible to find folks who are so passionate about what they do, and the focus is not just on, their paycheck, or that it is just a job. Like I say, and that may be just because we have been incredibly blessed. I don't know what has brought that together. I'm just so grateful that I am where I am right now, and I get to lead it.
For sure.
And I get to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's awesome to see.
Yeah.
What's the program that touches you the most, I think?
I can't choose one. It's like it really is like your kids, like your children. They all have an impact on me. They all pull at my heartstrings. And it just depends on the day. A lot of it is the stories of the clients and the folks who use those programs and need those programs, and so on one day you hear a success story of, anti-trafficking, our Hope United anti-trafficking initiative, and that pulls me over there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad we have that program and get to do that. Another day, it's Workforce Connections and a youth that is thriving now, and maybe they weren't when they came into our program, and after spending a year with us, they're graduating and going on to do amazing things, and on that day, that program has my heart. Yeah. Other days it's Martha's Hope, and the stories you hear there. Yeah. So
the Success Academy, to me, yeah. I drive by that probably 10 times a day, because we're a block away from each other.
Yeah.
And I love seeing the kids out there playing basketball or hanging out or whatever, and just
really
knowing that's
cool.
going on, and seeing that gets me every time I drive by there.
And that one gets me too. Success Academy. We're working with youth that are involved in the juvenile justice system in some way, and working with academic remediation and therapeutic services, and I think the most heartwarming thing to me is when they've graduated from our program, but then they come back. They come back to our people, our staff, not because they have to be there anymore, because they've exited the juvenile justice system and all that stuff. They come back because they want to. They come back because they need advice, or they need help navigating something, and they have learned to trust our staff, in helping them navigate that. And sometimes our staff kind of becomes all they have,
Yep.
And they don't have anywhere else to find kind of that wise advice, on what their next step needs to be or how they navigate something. And that's an honor. That's a privilege for those for that youth for us to be able to gain their trust and know that somebody cares about them.
Absolutely.
So,
how do you keep yourself from getting hardened or, I guess, cynical on either end of the spectrum? Meaning, when you're dealing with the homeless and house, and a lot of times you have the ones that are really hard to deal with.
sure.
So you could let your heart get hard towards them, which I've been guilty of, or become cynical to that. On the other side, you have to raise funds. And when we were doing missions work, I dealt with that, and you have promises come in and you don't get it, or you have people you think should be giving, and you're like, why would you not give to this cause, and you don't get it.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself in a good place and not let your heart get hardened to what is a great mission? People don't take advantage of it like they should, or they don't give like they should.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good question, and there's a couple of aspects to that. One is, you can't force anybody to do anything. If that is a client that you feel like this is the best route, or they need to be taking advantage of these services that are being offered, it's still up to them. As much as we would like to be the solution for every single person that was in need, that's just not going to happen.
Sure.
Because at some point it's up to that individual. The same way with donors. Some of the best advice I ever got on that is to not let it get you down if somebody doesn't want to give, and to not beat your head against closed doors, but there are plenty of open doors, and you look for those as your opportunities to walk through those, because if one door is closed, there's an open one somewhere. So I've always used that to feel encouraged, and not just get stuck in and bogged down in thinking about who doesn't give. Try to be grateful for those who do give. Try to be grateful for those clients that really want the help and they connect. The other thing, though, even with difficult clients, especially in our unhoused population, that are dealing with mental illness, and they're dealing with substance misuse, and which a lot of times is clouding who they really are at the core.
Yeah.
And so you have to remember that. You have to I think, here I go again. I think you have to see yourself in everybody that you serve. We are all maybe a few paychecks away, or an illness away from needing help ourselves.
For sure.
And so when it does get frustrating, I think it's important to see yourself reflected in a way of understanding that you could easily be in that position. It doesn't matter how hard you worked in your life. It doesn't matter how much savings you've built. A few different scenarios that comes into play and happens in your life could put you right there.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that I'll say about that is, I think those of us who have support systems, even if that's just a spouse, even if that's, your parents, or a brother or a cousin, or a group of friends, we take those support systems for granted because a lot of what we see and a lot of what we work with are folks who find themselves in a place where they don't have a support system anymore. And so then they have nowhere to turn. They have nobody to reach out to. So, yeah.
That's so true. How do you, your job is super tough emotionally. And I know you've probably had to learn over the years to deal with that, regulate that. Some of the stuff you see, people can't imagine. How do you go home and live life with your wife and son every day after dealing with stuff like that?
Sure.
I'm super empathetic, so if we have an episode at the coffee shop where I have to help somebody, and we've seen some crazy stuff from car wrecks to all kind of stuff.
Sure.
I haven't learned yet how to let that go before I get home, and I don't know if it's possible for me. But how do you personally, how do you deal with that? Go from work where you're dealing with traumatic stuff all day, not all day, but every day, and then go home and be the great husband and dad that you are. How do you make that transition?
Well, you're just assuming that I'm a great husband and dad.
I know you are. I've seen it.
No, I love my family, and we have a great family unit. But I also have a very understanding wife, and my son is he's in tune to what I do. He knows what I do every day. I'm thankful that sometimes they definitely extend grace and mercy when I've had a hard day, and so I will say that there are days that I go home and I'm very introspective. I don't know if that's the right word to use, because I'm still processing. I'm still processing what that day has held. A lot of times I'm it is because I have to be taking care of so many different things during the day just to keep everything running. It will be after hours that I really start thinking, okay, planning for the next day or planning for the week, or, how are we going to navigate this situation and that kind of thing. I do at least once a week try to have a reset. I weekends are sacred, and just trying to really just turn it off. Really, about midday Friday is what I do. About midday Friday, start winding down, rolling it back, kind of turning it off, so that Saturday and Sunday is just really devoted to nothing United Way. Unless it has to be, unless an emergency or something comes up. So I think just trying to find that balance is the answer. And I think some days I'm very successful at that, and I think some days I'm not.
And you go to a lot of metal shows.
Do we want to talk about that?
I want to talk about it. I love metal music. I grew up playing metal music and punk rock and all that. And I was shocked one day when we were having a conversation and I mentioned that, and you were like, "Oh, I've been to some metal shows," and you mentioned some bands that I was blown away.
Yeah.
But I know that's not your favorite type of music. But you've done that out of love for your son, right?
I have, and I have come to appreciate it, actually. There's some of the music I've actually acclimated to it, and it's good stuff. Yeah, so my son is a NASCAR fan, and my son is a metal music fan, and loves to go to live shows when his favorite bands are playing. And he's an old school metal person too. Like he likes these bands, from like the late 80s, early 90s, and they're all getting older. So every time they come close by, it's like, well, we need to go see them. So because how much longer are they going to tour? There's lessons to be learned in every experience, and I think the lesson that I learned from going to metal shows is that that's an interesting community. It's a community that takes care of itself.
For sure.
It's a community that I think has lived most of their life on the fringes of society, so to speak, because they have felt like outcast at times. And so when they all get together in a place, they really take care of each other.
It's family, yeah.
And it's not a situation where, you see the the circle pits and the stage dives and stuff like that, and you think it's violent. It's not that at all. I mean, they are like really embracing each other, celebrating their community, and taking care of each other. And it's a way, I think, that they love each other and find love. And it could really be a lesson to the broader community about how to treat each other.
It could be. It is getting more popular now. A lot of the metal and hardcore bands are getting more mainstream, which is some people don't appreciate. I think it's really cool to see that, because it does show that it is a very united fan base, which is really cool to see.
Yeah.
And then you also like bluegrass and Alison Krauss and all.
Well, yeah, I have I love music,
Yeah.
by the way. And of course, grew up with music and in music. And so, yeah, music is therapy for me. It's spiritual, it's supernatural a lot of times. And just really have a diverse palette.
Yeah, you'll never, when you get in my car with me, you never know what I'll be listening to, from hardcore metal to gangster rap to jazz, Dave Matthews Band, whatever. I listen to it all. So.
And I can, and I can appreciate all of it. I love songwriting. I love lyrics. And so, I can find value in the way Taylor Swift constructs a song, and I can find value in a bluegrass tune,
Absolutely.
Or that old world music, or folk and things like that. So I love it all, and I just love the craft of it.
I just can't wait for the day when I pull up to a red light and I hear metal music. I look over and it's you. No, I don't think that'll happen. I've got
some on my playlist,
yeah. What advice would you have for somebody? I know you did ministry for a while, so I'm going to ask this question because probably 90% of my ministry friends have struggled with this. What advice would you have for somebody that's thought they were called to ministry or have done ministry and that hasn't seemed to work out, but they still want to help people? That's still their heart, which I think is probably the way it was intended to be in the first place. But church has turned a lot of people away from that, and usually not done in what I think it was meant to be. So what advice would you have for somebody coming out of church and still looking for an opportunity to serve people? I'm not saying leaving church, coming out of church, but realize that ministry's not necessarily for them, or they're doing ministry and want to help people as well.
I guess my biggest advice would be find a place to serve, find a place to continue to serve. And that can look so many different ways. But it's important to remember that Jesus don't just show up at church. Jesus don't just show up at church sanctioned events and ministries. God don't just, show up on Sunday. And I have really, as somebody who grew up in the church, and kind of lived that life, I even get questions sometimes from members of the church community of working for what they perceive as a secular organization of United Way, of East Central Alabama, because, our foundings are not faith-based. But what I say to that is, I have found the alternative to ministry, and we work hand in hand with churches, in the faith-based community. So don't get me wrong, I love the faith-based community, and it's there for a purpose, and I believe in it. What I'm trying to say is that we can all be the hands and feet of Christ. And I find myself and our staff being that every single day.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be a paid position. You're on our board of directors, and so you are a big part of what we do, just because of your involvement there. Or there, I will say there's plenty of opportunity to serve, and find your purpose, find what you're passionate about, and then find ways to serve that out.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are in doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing with your life? It's a good one, huh?
You're proud of that, aren't you? Well, I always want to do more, and I always want our organization to
That's
do
a
more.
trait of a successful person. That's not a bad thing.
Honest, I'm where I'm supposed to be. 10,
I think so too.
and I see people all the time who are struggling with that. I see people all the time who are in a job that has no purpose to them. They're looking for other outlets to serve, exactly what you said. I say follow your passion, find the way to serve, find a way to give back, and I'm so grateful for where I am. I'm so grateful for my journey, and I'm so grateful for what I do every day. It's not just a job, and I know everybody can't say that, and so I cherish it.
For the people that are working a job that they feel like is not, I mean, you have to pay the bills. Everybody has to work.
Absolutely.
Not everybody can work for a nonprofit. Not everybody can open up a coffee shop. Not everybody can be in ministry. We still need plumbers. We still need mechanics. What I'm really passionate about is hearing that when I meet a plumber who is super passionate about plumbing. We have a guy that works on our refrigerators that comes in the coffee shop, and he gets excited about refrigerators.
Awesome.
And to me, I'm like, that is great that he's. Well, what would you say to somebody who's working my situation a few years ago before we moved to Peru? I was working in a factory, great place to work. I did not enjoy it at all. I feel like it was just the same thing every day. I felt like it was a waste of time, honestly. I still had to pay the bills, so I did it.
Sure.
There's a million opportunities with United Way locally to volunteer. What are some of those opportunities?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, and that can be as simple as being a mentor to one of our youth and one of our programs, getting involved in that way, and coming in and just providing some kind of life-giving, curriculum or whatever, or mentorship to a student. It could be, tutoring. It could be at Martha's Hope. There is plenty of opportunity to help there, whether that be bringing meals, whether that be, coming and doing, again, some mentorship with, adults, financial literacy and different things like that. With our anti-trafficking initiative, there's opportunities for helping us pull together, care bags, because if you're going out to meet someone and intervene in trafficking, always having that care bag with you, so that person that's leaving a situation has some of the basic items they need. I mean, wow. I could just go on and on, about the opportunities there.
How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, they really just they check out our website, and that's uweca.org. And I'll just remind everybody, it's United Way East Central Alabama, so that's the initials, uweca.org. We've got a lot of our program information there. There's ways to get in touch with us. You can also call our office. We'll be happy to kind of figure out what your passion is. And, if you don't volunteer with us, we've got 18 community partners, so we could connect you, with somebody else that's doing some great work in the community. And don't hesitate to call 211. It's a 24/7 call center. But that works even for volunteering. If somebody is looking for volunteer work, they can call 211, put in their zip code. It's routed to our local call center. I will say call during business hours if you want to talk to the folks in our local call center, because that's when they answer there. It goes to after hours call center when we close. But that's where you'll get your best information. But yeah, so there's multiple ways to get in touch with us, and we would love
You can
to
donate on the website too. Right?
You can give.
All the money that is donated for the local United Way stays local. Is that correct?
And so that's a misconception a lot of times about United Way. So here's one of the reasons I love United Way, and I was really became passionate about it. So every United Way is autonomous. We don't operate in chapters, even though there is a United Way worldwide organization that just kind of provides, best practices. They ensure accountability of each United Way as far as standards of excellence that we have to meet every year. So, they do provide a level of they're ensuring we have fiduciary excellence and things like that. Training, all that, brand mark, they are control the brand mark and making sure everybody's using it correctly. But other than that, that's as far as United Way Worldwide goes. Every decision is made at the local level by our board of directors, by our staff, how we spend our money. The money that's raised stays right here in our community. I mean, it is a local organization,
That's awesome.
With the strength of a nationally recognized brand.
And you mentioned it, but you also partner with other nonprofits locally, such as St. Michael's, and that are pillars in the community that are filling other needs, medical, therapy. It's pretty amazing where the money goes and what all it does.
Yeah, absolutely. We cover our service areas, Calhoun, Cleburne, and Randolph counties. We have a few unique partners in Randolph County that we fund. A lot of what we do in Cleburne County is grant funded, so it's a lot of our program initiatives that are there, like Imagination Library and Workforce Connections and some of those. And then in Calhoun County, we are literally funding and partnering with nonprofits from Piedmont to Oxford. And that's, food pantries like Community Enabler, Jacksonville Christian Outreach Center, JCOC in Jacksonville, Piedmont Benevolence Center in Piedmont, Interfaith Ministries, Meals on Wheels, St. Michael's Medical Clinic for the uninsured who need, medical care, and it just runs the gamut.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a place to donate, trust me when I say that your money is going to be well spent.
Absolutely.
Going to the local United Way.
Absolutely.
It's been amazing to see the financials are. Miss Lynn does an amazing job
She
keeping
really
the
does.
financials, and also in the coffee shop, everybody that works for United Way that has meetings in there is like, I need that receipt, Miss Lynn.
That's right. Well, and Lynn has been there. Shout out to Lynn. Lynn, has been there longer than me. She's our CFO. She's been there long enough to earn the title of Chief Financial Officer, but her skill set earns her that title as well. And she has been there over 30 years. And that's some longevity. And
has she been there the longest of anybody else?
Yes. And she's an expert at what she does. I mean, you're in good hands because she runs a tight ship when it comes to our finances. Yeah.
And she's hilarious.
Yeah.
She is funny.
Yeah. And you need that.
You need it.
And I'll tell you, I think every and you probably understand this being a business owner. I always say Lynn is like I don't even know if this is right or not, but like the yin to my yang. Like I'm the visionary, I'm the dreamer, I'm the one that wants to do all this amazing stuff in the community, and then she's the finance, she's the money person, she's that black and white person. And so she balances it out, she's like, hey, I hear you. That sounds really great. But we got to raise some money before we do that, or we got to find grant funding before we do that because we can't do that yet. And it's a great team. It really is.
How much has it grown since well, I think in the last 5 years it's really grown, right?
Yeah, so I came in 2014. We did a new strategic plan in 2017. We're actually out of that strategic plan now. But we put our vision to paper, and then we really let that strategic plan guide our work in transforming the organization. So in 2017, we had 5.5 employees. We had 5 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee. And today we have 30 employees.
Wow.
And at the time, we had a couple of direct service initiatives, but that was really Imagination Library, which is free books, for kids 5 and under. And then we had the VITA tax program, which is free tax prep for low income, low to moderate income households that need to file taxes. And that was kind of it, and so we've grown that to 9 direct service initiatives and 9 intense, direct service initiatives. We still have those 2, but obviously 211, is a big deal because it's a great resource to our entire area when it comes to health and human services and, folks who are in need. And then, things like, all the youth opportunity programs that we've added that are intensive programs, Martha's Hope and anti-trafficking and, the mental health, the integrated mental health initiative that we have over at Martha's Hope called Thrive to help, kind of that one-to-one mental health.
It's an amazing program.
Yeah.
It's much. I don't see anyone having a successful shelter without that.
Yeah, and we're so grateful for. First of all, we're grateful for the funding, for that program because it's a lot of local funding that we get for that because I think everybody sees the need, of mental health access. But we're also grateful for, we've really entered a lot into collaborative work. It's not just about United Way. We need these other providers and we need our friends, in the community to come around the table to help with this work. So Interfaith Ministries and St. Michael's Medical Clinic are both collaborators in that Thrive, initiative. So it's been really good.
I don't make you cry again, but I know how effective it is. And you don't have to go too deep or like obviously names or anything, but could you share a story with us that's really that you feel is at the heart of what you do?
A story, you mean?
Just a situational story or a personal story of someone that has been affected by United Way, or you personally?
Yeah, I don't know if I can pull one of those out on the spot like that. I will say that a lot of our work intersects. A lot of our initiatives intersect, and I think that what people don't understand is that a lot of times it's not just about a person having one need. What we find is when we get involved with them, the needs end up being kind of a plethora of needs. And I would say that the most beautiful thing about United Way and some of our clients is that we have all these program directors that when they're called to the table for one program's client, they answer and they all come to the table and they figure out what piece they can provide, to get that client to the next step or to get that client what they need. We had one particular situation where it was a youth who was living in a home that he was really abandoned by his caregiver. They decided to get married, I believe, and move to another state. And because he was 17, about to be 18 years old, they left him in a house in rural Calhoun County with no transportation, and nobody to care for him.
Wow.
And the way we found out about that is through our Helping Families Initiative program. And it was because of his chronic absenteeism. And so when we started figuring out what was going on, we realized that this was a desperate situation, you know. And so that's one of the cases where, you know, we came together and we literally sat in our boardroom with staff and the school staff all around the table to try to solve, because that wasn't anything that one organization could solve. That was something that we had to basically pull the community together and say, okay, what are we going to do for food? What are we going to do for transportation? What are we going to do to keep the electricity going? Does he need to stay in that house, or do we need to find, you know, other placement for him? I mean, there was a lot of questions to be answered. Wow. With all of that. And he did end up staying in the house for a little while, ended up with some transportation, ended up with a job at a grocery store that was about 2 miles away from him. The grocery store agreed to just help him with food, wow, you know, to stock his food and that kind of thing. And so, you know, there's a lot of stories like that, but that's just one situation where the place that we're in as United Way and being able to convene all those people around the table just to help that one client or that one, you know, youth just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. So.
It's so awesome. It's, yeah, fulfillment. Yeah. Being able to help people like that, that's awesome. It's a blessing to be able to work in a place like that, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think the future holds for you? Any writing books, or I know you've been doing a lot of teaching. You've been helping other organizations.
I have, you know, when it appears that you know what you're doing, you know, and you've had some success, everybody wants to know how you've done it.
And you tell them, just find good people to work with.
Yeah, yeah. And so I tell them a lot of what I've said here today, you know, and yeah, I've been doing a lot of that, going and helping other nonprofits, just kind of pick my brain, leading through strategic plans, done some board trainings, some things like that, and really just sharing our success, because, you know, when we did this, we didn't have a roadmap. We put together what we thought were the best laid plans, you know, to get us to where we wanted to go, but there was no model for it necessarily. And so, you know, it's again, I'm grateful, and it's a privilege to be able to be on this side of it at this point and have this kind of growth and success, and just be able to share that with other people, what our experiences were, you know, the best practices, the things to stay away from, you know, because the journey hasn't been perfect, and still having growing pains, you know. And that's what happens when you grow quickly. But all in all, things are great.
Well, that's awesome. I'm super humble and proud to be able to serve with you, and greatly appreciate what you do. And I don't think you're even seen a little bit of what's to come. I think it's going to be, it already is amazing, but I know it's going to be so much more. It's going to blow your mind. But thank you for your time. Thank you for being so open and transparent, and we'll have to do it again. You know that.
I would love to.
So,
yeah.
Anything you'd like to say?
I don't think so. It's and then I start talking, right? Yeah. I said, I don't think so, and then I start talking. Yeah, just again, grateful for the friendship, and thank you for just giving us the platform to have a relaxed conversation, you know, about it all. And the other thing I'll say is just, you know, remember that United Way is there. Obviously, we want folks to volunteer and we want folks to donate because we want to keep this thing going and everything that we have going on. That's great things for this community for a long, long time. But it is it's a two-way street, and we're there to be a resource when we can be. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.